Hello, 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 everyone. So glad and excited to have you all with us. We are so excited to have everybody here on today. And I'm going to bring on my beautiful co host, Miss Myaann Payne. Tell everybody hello. All right. Can we hear you? Okay.
I was clicking.
There you go. Awesome. Well, we are so excited to have each one of you all here on today. And I'm just going to give you a quick layout on how the show is going to go. So first, I am going to give you a little introduction and background on who I am, because beyond you, there are some people who absolutely don't know me. Isn't that something? So I have to introduce who I am. And then after that, I'll talk a little bit, and then I'll hand it over to Myaann, and she's going to introduce herself and talk about what she does, and then she'll hand it back over to me, and we'll get into some of the meat of the actual presentation. But I do want to give a quick introduction to about Myaann. Myaann has come to be a very dear friend of mine. We met together in an actual business coaching group, and we have grown so close that it's like a sister from another mother. And so I would say she's my baby sister.
Oh, yes.
We have watched each other's businesses grow and flourish, basically collaborated and partnered together to share ideas, bounce ideas off. And you know what? Beyond all of that, the real reason she is here is because she has literally transformed my wardrobe. I wish I can see you all, the project that we're in the midst of. We're in the midst of changing a bedroom in my home into a cloffice. And what is a cloffice? It is going to be the IROC headquarters, and it's going to have a built out of a closet, and she's going to stage it and make it so beautiful. But because of what we're going through right now, everything's been put on hold, but I can't wait to share in the future how it's going to look. So she is an executive image expert, wardrobe transformation specialist, and I'm telling you, the best stylist I have ever known, because she takes it to heart and really brings out your personality. And again, I can go on and on about Myaann, but this is not what this is about. And I'm going to have her come back. You want to say hi, Myaann?
Hey, everyone. I'm so excited to share some of my tried and true tips and tricks on dressing for dressing to be on camera, to set yourself up in this new age and our new normal, I guess. Because I think it's going to be a lot. I think there's going to be a lot of virtual video meetings and interviews from now on. So
yeah, so we're excited to have you. All right, so let's get started. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'm not gonna break the ass. You know how I do it.
Okay. Oh, not right now. Maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. See you in a minute, Myaann.
Okay. Bye.
All righty. So let me go ahead and share my presentation. Oh, I don't want to share that. I want to share my presentation and open that up for you guys. And let's get started. Yes. All right. So, this interview prep class is all about how to make sure that you shine when you go before an actual interviewer when you're trying to land your dream job. And I always say that a well-written resume helps you land the interview. That's very true. If you've gotten in front of the actual interviewer, your resume is doing something right. If you're not landing interviews and there's something that we need to tweak, meaning you and I need to work together in order to make sure that your resume is landing the interviews. And then once you get there, the resume is not enough. What I try to tell clients when they just want resume help, I say, okay, I can definitely do a great resume in your targeted industry, but what are you going to do when you get to the actual table to talk about yourself? How are you going to present yourself? So it's very good to make a person look great on paper with all their skills, talents, and abilities, but what do you do? So a lot of times we think, oh, I can just go in there and do it because I know this stuff. But usually when you get in there, you're sweating, you're nervous, you're forgetting some of your main points and you're not prepared. So a well-prepared interview can help you actually land the job. And an actual resume will not land the job. Hardly ever. Maybe I shouldn't say it won't ever, but it's rare that it does. But an interview, a very well prepared interview, can help you land the job once the resume does its job and land the interview for you. So, just a little bit about me. I am the owner and founder of iRock Development Solutions, LLC, doing business as iRock Resumes. Well, my motto is all about landing the job of your dreams and creating a career that rocks. It's not enough just to land the job. I want to make sure I coach you so that you can keep the job and advance, therefore. And also, I'm also a four-time certified career coach. I'm a certified resume writer, interview prep coach, LinkedIn strategist, and job search strategist, career development and strategy, author and speaker. And we'll talk about my books at the end as well. I've been in corporate America since 1991 and with 19 years in leadership. I just celebrated 2 days ago 26 years with the current corporation I work for. And I work for a Fortune 36 organization. And being in leadership for so many years, I know exactly what it's about preparing people for their next role. I've been married for almost 26 years as well, and mother to a college sophomore. I'm a mama to Shapu named Bam Bam, and I love scrapbooking and guacamole and chips. So I welcome all of you all here. And this is a little picture of my family. This is, oh yeah, and another side note, my husband is a senior pastor of a church. And yes, I am a senior pastor's wife. And this is us at his recent church anniversary. And this is the love of my life. You see, he's got an overbite, and I just love him. That's my Bam Bam. I'm actually the mama, but I just love him. All right. So enough about me. So let's go. What I actually do, I shouldn't say what about a little about me. Basically, what do I do? I speak on topics related to creating your best career professional marketing plan. And that includes, of course, your resume, your cover letter, professional bios, career journey maps, whatever you need to actually enhance your career. I specialize in helping you create and tell your career story. A lot of times we get caught up in our heads and we're not sure what to say. I help wordsmith that for you. And I write and create LinkedIn profiles that market and brand you as a professional. That's a great opportunity to enhance your marketing documents that are include your resume, cover letter, thank you letter, and all that. And I also conduct interview prep coaching, which I'm going to give you some strategies on today. And I help create career development strategies because I don't want you to get the job and just stay there. I want to make sure that you're advancing in your career. And no, it doesn't mean always that you have to be in leadership. Well, what are you doing in your current role? So we can create a strategy for you to promote or to do the best job that you can in the current role that you have. So, this is all about mastering the interview. And it's so critical that you do that. And some of the things I am going to share with you, you can't find in books, you can't find on the internet, you can't find on YouTube. I'm going to give you some additional information that people really don't tell you. But I have seen and experienced not only as a career professional, but also with my clients having difficulties during the interview. And after they've had difficulties, they come to me and say, okay, what am I doing wrong? And I'll share some of those things that I have uncovered. So, what happens? Your resume has done its job. And the thing that happens is like, wow, yay, I got an interview. But now what do I do? So the question comes in, what do I wear? Yes, we are in a business casual environment, but does that mean you need to dress business casual? Myaann talk something over that. Then you have to think about, what do I say? And because so many things are running around in your head, you're thinking about, I want to say a lot of things. I want to hit on this. I want to hit on that. What do I say? And then what do I do with my physical interactions? Because sometimes some people talk with their hands and it's distracting. And then if you have on clanking jewelry or what have you, it can possibly cause a lot of distraction with noise. And so you have to think about, what do you do with your physical interactions? Do you shake hands? Do you not shake hands? Do you sit down? Do you lean forward? What do you do? Then the ultimate thing, will they like me? So that's a question. A lot of times we think, well, will they like me? But you know what? I want you to think about, will I like them? So again, this is a partnership. It's not about them being in the big seat and you in the small seat. It's about a partnership. So you have to make sure that you like them too, because otherwise, guess what will happen? You'll end up thinking about, oh gosh, I just got this job and I'm ready to leave it already. So it's a two-way street. And there's tips and tricks to be able to overcome that. So there's several types of interviews that you can actually do. There's the phone interview, and that's usually conducted by a recruiter. And when it's conducted by a recruiter, they're looking for, how are you communicating over the phone? So there's a way to do it when you're using your inflection in your voice, sounding happy. And if anybody has been in sales any length of time or even a short time, they always say, let them hear the smile in your voice. Now, the way I'm talking, I'm hoping you're able to feel my energy just by the way I'm talking and not necessarily having to see my face. So, if you are feeling my energy and how my voice is going up and down and all of these different things, it keeps the listener, like yourself, engaged. And that's what you want to do when you're having a phone interview. And then there's one-on-one interviews. A lot of times, and this is when probably a lot of smaller companies will do a one-on-one interview before they pass you off to an actual team or what have you. But they'll do a one-on-one, and that could also be a recruiter that do that. And those are a little bit more challenging when it's a one-on-one interview, because you have to work extra hard to win over that person such that you can get in front of a potential panel. So one-on-one interviews are very challenging, but they can be overcome. Then there's partner interviewing. If there's two partners, or maybe there's two vice presidents, or a CEO and a vice president, so they may partner up and interview a top candidate. So it could be two people that's interviewing you, and then you have to think, how do I divide my attention between both? But the goal is to give your attention holistically to both as you're answering the question. And the same goes for a panel. Now, one of the clients I'd had before, she hadn't been in the workforce for over 10 years, and she had no idea that interviewing had changed. She was used to the one on one interview back in her day. And so, therefore, when she went into an interview and there was a panel, she didn't know what to do. And she said, oh, no, I did not do well at all. I had no idea that interviewing had changed. So I coached her on how to overcome, number one, the fright of more than one person in a room, and also to be able to teach her some tips and tricks on what she can do when she gets in front of a panel and how to answer those questions appropriately. The goal is make sure that you make each person feel important. You want to keep them engaged in your story. When you're talking about or answering a question, having that engagement comes from eye to eye contact, your emotions, looking at them, you're nodding and making sure you're addressing everyone in the room, and not necessarily thinking that I'm going to focus on this one person. I've heard lots of tips, people saying you find a player in the room and you just focus on that. Well, maybe so if you're trying to do a business deal, but with interviewing, no, everyone has a say in that interview. And the more you're interacting with different persons and people in the room, you want to make sure that they see the value that you bring. And I'll talk more about that later on, why it's so valuable to do that. And last but not least, oh my gosh, the video interviewing. That's becoming huge with what's going on with our society, and I guess all over the world at this time. everybody is going to video. Now, there are companies who have been using video. However, this situation that we're in has basically thrust us into doing video ahead of the curve of what people were used to doing. So everyone is trying to figure out how to do video. And that's why I'm so excited to have Myaann on with me so she can give you some tips and tricks that we probably haven't thought about when it comes to interviewing on video, because we're just thinking, okay, now that I've done the phone interview and gotten beyond the actual recruiter, they're going to invite me in. Not so these days. A lot of companies are asking you now to do it for video. So what I am going to do now is go and change it on over to Myaann, and then I'll bring her on. And Myaann, if you are ready, I'll switch you over, my dear. All right.
I'm ready.
Okay. See you in a minute.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello. I know this is my first time using Webinar Ninja, and I noticed that there were several people in the chat that said hello. So I'm so glad that you all are here. I am, like Nicolette said, my name is Myaann Payne, and I'm an executive image expert consultant, and I'm an intuitive wardrobe transformationist. My mission is for my clients to feel joy walking into their closet every day, confidence in their outfit so that they can really just reach their highest potential in life, in career or business. So I have some slides that I'm going to share with you. And
you got it. If not, I can do it for you. Let me know.
Can you? Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'll do it for you.
Okay.
I got it.
Nicolette is the expert.
Okay. There we go.
So this is a masterclass that I compiled, and I've taught a couple of times. And if I'm used to doing video because I have clients that live on both coasts, and I have clients in Mexico City. And so I can't always be, I would love to be all over the place all the time. So I've learned the right way and the wrong way to do video. And so let's see. So what you are going to learn in my little bit is how to light yourself properly, what to wear for video calls, and some of my tried and true tricks to make sure that you always look amazing on camera. So overall, for video interviews or video, meetings, is to create an environment that's cohesive, definitely not distracting, and comfortable for you to be in so that you can perform your best while teaching or participating, like I said, in virtual meetings and classes. You do that by making sure you're on point in each of the following categories. So your background, it's pretty much the foundation of your video call greatness. Your lighting, the right light will make you look good. The wrong light will make you look like you're in a cave. Your outfit, you can look presentable and still be comfortable while being seated, because we can't deny the fact that most of us are going to be sitting down, in all these meetings, in interviews. We're not, except for the walking warriors like Nicolette, most of us are at home, sitting down, not moving too much. So you definitely be comfortable. And then your posture, like your mama told you, straight. It makes a huge difference. Okay, so for your background, you want to keep a neutral color palette. Nothing crazy, no neons, no, like my Aunt Argie's, these velvet, floral, crazy colored curtains, nothing like that. Not busy. Definitely staged. And I put in here staged if you're teaching, but staged in general. You want your background to have little bits of your personal brand. So for me, when we switch it back in a minute, I can show you, like, I have high heels, I've got like my salt lamp. I have a little aloe plant because I love to garden. So there's little bits of me in my background, but it's not enough to detract my audience from hearing what I have to say. Definitely few to no words. I know that everybody has these really cool, inspirational posters with, these great quotes and stuff, but you definitely don't want them to be focusing on that, especially when the words are going to be backwards. You don't want them to focus on what's on your shoulder. Again, you want them to hear what you're saying. And if all else fails, use a virtual background. You get the best result by being in front of just a plain wall for the backgrounds. If there's anything that's busy going on in the background, it'll kind of distort it. So then we'll move on to lighting really quick. You want your lighting to look as natural as possible. The number one, hands down, best thing is to sit in front of a window. So it's window, then your camera, your phone, your tablet, your computer, and then you. Now, of course, if the sun is coming straight in the window, you need to have some shears or, something to kind of deflect the light a little bit. If you can't, pull in a lamp and also sit the lamp like in front and then your camera in between and then you. So the light is always shining on you. If you can't do either one of those, you can always use the light on your screen. So if you just turn the light all the way up on your screen, that will suffice. And one of my clients invented this amazing, I don't want to say contraption, this amazing apparatus that you see there on the right, the GlamCam Kit Pro. And now she's got GlamCam Kit Studio, but the GlamCam Kit Pro is an amazing tool to use because as you can see, there's a tripod. I think it adjusts up to 6.5 or 7 feet tall. And again, you can drop it all the way down and put it on your desk or on your table. You can use it, hold your phone. It's great. I love it. So if we can, Nick Willette, I can send them a link to purchase it. And then, okay, so just as important, all these elements are just as important as the last. So your outfit definitely needs to be on brand, definitely comfortable, something that enhances the environment, but it doesn't overwhelm you because you definitely don't want your outfit to be louder than your words, right? To take over or overshadow rather what you are saying. Solids work the best. If all else fails, just stick with a solid. Definitely something that will pop against your backdrop. So if you've got really soft colors or white, you definitely don't want to wear a white shirt because you're going to just kind of wash right into the background. Soft prints are okay. Also, with regard to fit, your shirt, your jacket, guys, if you wear a jacket, even if it's a bomber jacket, I probably wouldn't wear a bomber jacket to an interview. Your blazer needs to fit properly. It needs to fit the shoulder seams, need to fit directly at the shoulders, and definitely keep it unbuttoned as you sit because there's nothing to hide behind. All you've got is a small square of a screen, and what fits in that screen is mainly your face and your top 25% of your body. So you definitely want to make sure that whatever it is that you're wearing fits properly. And then wear comfortable pants. Definitely wear pants. Wear comfortable pants. And then to Nicolette's point, girls, bangle bracelets are great, but don't wear them on your video interview. I would even kind of stray away from jangly, even earrings, because as you're talking, they might, make noise and be distracting. And then posture. It makes a huge, huge difference. Posture, and there's also one bit in here that I didn't really touch on. your camera, you need to be looking straight into the camera. So you definitely don't want the camera to be too high, so you're looking up into it, or too low where you're kind of like looking down at it. You definitely just want to be straight on, perpendicular to your camera. Chin up, shoulders back, stomach in. Definitely sit up straight. Try not to fidget, because as you start to fidget, just from my own personal, I mean, I guess we're humans, right? Everybody is the same. As you fidget, the more you fidget, the more nervous you become. Look directly at the camera when you're speaking. I know it's really weird to look at a little green dot or a little, but seriously, look straight into the camera, because if you look at yourself, it's going to look like you're looking down. Wherever your square is on the screen, it's going to look like you are looking in that area of the screen. Definitely put your feet flat on the floor. And the last bits, so they just didn't fit into my big four categories here. Proper grooming and hairstyle go such a long way. Such a long way. I would suggest that ladies kind of keep your hair out of your face so that whoever you're speaking to in your interview can see your beautiful face. And guys, even the 5 o'clock shadow is going to come up, not probably how you think. So definitely keep, if you have a beard, if you have facial hair, definitely keep it groomed, keep it nice, keep it, moisturized if it's a beard, and do your hair. There, like I said earlier, there's nothing to hide behind, y'all. It's literally the top quarter of your body, and that is it. I would also suggest to have a pen and paper at the ready, just probably like you would at an interview, just for tidbits. Just always be prepared. Prepared that you are up front, the easier it's going to be, because you're not going to forget things as you go. Turn off your phone. I don't know about any of you guys, but I've been on enough Zoom calls since March 15th that people's phones are going off. They're texting and you can hear them. Definitely just turn the phone on do not disturb. And then, obviously, because I have a 4-year-old with more energy than I can even think to keep up with, I've bribed him with TV. I've bribed him with gummy bears to let me have my piece. And nobody's judging you. We're all in this together, especially parents. Like, it's okay if you bribe your kids, for an ice cream cone, for you to be able to have your 30 minutes of peace while you are doing your job interview. My last thing, in all seriousness, if you are nervous, like probably most of us are, before an interview or before something very important, definitely try and take some very deep breaths in through your nose and fill your lungs to capacity, and out through your mouth. In for 4, out for 6. And then there's another visualization I wanted to share with you. And I did this actually here very recently, because I was going to have a meeting with an executive coaching firm, and it was for the biggest contract of my career. Pacing, and I was already sweating, and I had still 20 minutes for the call. So I went outside. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get grounded. So I literally went outside with my bare feet, and I put my feet in the earth, and I started deep breathing. And I imagined, because there's an oak tree in my front yard, I imagined like the oak tree, and I imagined being centered and grounded, and roots like growing out of my feet, and feeling imagining how strong an oak tree stands, and giving myself like affirmations, like, I've worked hard for this. I have the skill set for this. This is what I'm meant to do. This is my next big step. It's exciting. I feel nervous because I've never done this before, but with change can be uncomfortable, right? So if you feel that discomfort, just know that if you can keep yourself grounded, then your next big thing is about to happen. So just keep a positive outlook. So then the next steps, Nicolette can also share all this information with you. If you need more support, I can personally help you set up your video chat space. You can give me a tour around your house, and I can tell you, yes, no, this is what you should wear. This is what you should not wear. Let me see you sitting down. Let's raise the computer so we can go through and do that one-on-one. I can definitely help you pick your outfits for your meetings and interviews. Closet help, I can virtual shop for you and create a lookbook with the items that you already own that are already hanging in your closet, because that's another one of my superpowers. So if you have any questions, just hold them till the end, because we're going to do a good old Q&A here at the end. So I hope that you got some good nuggets from this, and hopefully the next time I see you on video call, then I'll be able to see, they did follow my directions. Oh, I like that background. Oh, I like that. So here's mine. Let me see. Exit stage left. So these are like my number one favorite shoes of all time. And I don't remember the last time I wore a pair of high heels, but I put them up there on display and they're super cute. I love. This is my sister. Whoa. That May is her month. It's the month of her passing. And so I always put a bit of my sister in my background somewhere, but I put her like Big Mama Jamma this month. My aloe, oh God, stage left here. My aloe, my little salt lamp, my favorite little mirror, my favorite little candle, and some of my, here we go, favorite books there on the edge. That's like, see, when I lived in LA and I took acting classes and how to be on camera classes, yes. When I tell you meteorologist was not what I was meant to be, I mean, and I tried so hard, and then always be like, if it's right, then it's left. And I'm backwards, but not that backwards. Like I can't, that's just too roundabout. No, I could never point there. And then it's worse because then the green screen, you're looking at a screen in front of you and you're literally pointing and you're like, I don't even really exactly know where I'm pointing. I'm just pointing on this green background. It was a mess. But anyway.
So you're telling us that they have mad skills when it comes to making sure that they point to the right thing.
It's very difficult. It's way harder than what it looks. Way harder than what it looks like. Right. I did really well in comedy. Other than that, no.
You know what? I love that right. You know what I love that you talk about? Can you show them an example of what it means to do your looking at the camera as opposed to looking down?
Oh, okay. So if you're looking at the camera and you're really into your groove and you're talking to people versus, okay, well, now I'm looking at myself in the little screen and this is probably, and I can see myself peripherally and you can see my eyeshadow, but it doesn't really, like, you can tell that I'm obviously not looking right at you, even though it's not really you.
Right. And that's what people tend to do. If you've watched any videos lately, people, you will see, you can tell newbies as opposed to people with experience on camera, because they're focusing on looking at themselves as opposed to looking at the green little dot or whatever camera you set up to look at. And it's weird, but it's better because the impression I'm looking directly at you and at myself, because what happens sometimes I've seen people start fixing their hair and everything because they're looking at
themselves.
Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for those tips, and we'll bring Myaann back to ask your questions. So hold your questions to the end. Thank you, Myaann.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All right. So let's go back to the class and I'll advance, right? All right. So Interview do's and don'ts. One of the things, these are, I have to say this. This should be pretty much self explanatory, but I still need to, I like to review it because we do forget sometimes. We really do. So, one of the things you want to make sure you're doing is showing up on time. If you have something going on, but you're not sure about the time, but say, for example, you have to drive there, why don't you take a practice drive ahead of time to make sure you know the proper route? I'll tell a quick horror story of what happened to me one time. That was before GPS was popular. Okay. So everybody had the TomToms back then, but I didn't. I would print off my stuff from MapQuest. Yes, I'm dating myself. I would print off my directions from MapQuest. So I followed the directions to MapQuest, left early. I'm a breakfast girl. So I went and had breakfast and coffee and everything, following my directions. And it led me, and I still had a lot of time, it led me to an empty lot. When I thought I was 20 minutes early to the interview, there was no location there. I had to scramble to try to figure out where to go and ended up being 15 plus minutes late to the interview. No, I did not take a practice run, but it sure taught me how to do that. And so make sure that you're practicing where you're going so you know where you're going and make sure that you're timing it appropriately for traffic and no traffic. And if it's something that you have to do, like Myaann talked about the video interview, make sure your schedule is clear. And so you're not doing gardening or what have you. And all of a sudden you have to go run, shower, and get in front of a camera because, again, that's going to have your adrenaline going. So make sure that you're putting that buffer time around because, again, you're wanting to put your best foot forward. So you don't want to have any unnecessary stressors on you when you are going to ask for a job that is for you, especially your dream job. Of course, come prepared. Bring copies of your resumes with you if it's important. I mean, in person. If not, make sure you send. They have it. You have it available to email them right before your interview. And here's one thing, know what's on your resume. A lot of times, preparing a resume by a professional resume writer like myself, people love it, but they don't read it and remember what's in it. So, you have to make sure that you are familiar with what's in your resume so that you have appropriate answers when you're answering a question. And again, research the company and the position that you're going for. It's nothing worse than interviewing for a job and getting it and then to figure out that the company culture is not what you really want. Or the position for that matter is not really what they said it's going to be. So take time to research the company and the position. And everyone knows that LinkedIn is my jam. If you are on LinkedIn or if you're not on LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn and make sure that you're researching the company. Look at their reviews. Go or even on Google, you can research the company. What is their reputation like? And if you find a position at that company, you see a person that's already working in that position, I want you to reach out to them and ask for a 15-minute virtual coffee chat. And what I mean by virtual coffee chat is that you're going to ask for 15 minutes of their time in the morning. Many people drink coffee or tea or some kind of beverage in the morning to get their day started. So you can do that from a virtual perspective and ask them about the role that they're in. And that's an inside opportunity to know what it's like in a day in the life of such and such, such and such. And when you're doing that, you can also visualize that this is an position that you want to put yourself in, and you can ask questions about the culture, about what's going on in the environment, how what their day is like, and then to be respectful of their time. Keep it, although you call it a 15-minute chat, because most people will be happy to give you 15 minutes. So keep it at 15 minutes, but make sure that you're looking at the clock and start wrapping it up at the 13th minute. Now, if they extend it beyond 15, that's because they've granted that additional time on themselves, but not you intruding. So be respectful of their time. And like Myaann said, bring something to write on and write with because you want to make sure that you're taking notes. And it's okay that you do that. And you can even ask them if it's okay to take notes. So please make sure you're doing that and being respectful along the way. And don't all of the opposite above. And of course, don't let them see you sweat. I want you to understand that this is a partnership. It is not a big I and a little you. It is a partnership. They're bringing you in to help them increase their bottom line. So if you go in and, yes, I'm going to partner with you, this team, this organization, or what have you, in order to reach her goals, you're already off to a good start. So think of yourself like when Myaann said that she knew she was worthy of it. She had the skill set. She knew that this is an opportunity that was meant for her. And the same with you, especially if you do all the things above and researching it, you want to make sure that you're going in there prepared and not let them see you sweat because, hey, you've got this. Do this when you get into the interview. Yes, most definitely shake hands. Now, I have small hands. I wear a size maybe four, a four size ring, maybe a four and a quarter. Very small hands, right? And when I have my right hand ring on and I shake a hand, I don't care if it's male or female, it's bone crushing to me. And so, therefore, I have to make sure I take my right ring off if I'm going into any setting to shake hands because my hands are so bony and small that the ring impresses into my hand and then I'm in pain for a little bit. So make sure that you're shaking hands. And if you have on a right ring and you shake a hand and it hurts, you don't want to see them sweat. You sweat because you're in pain. And always smile, not goofily smile, but just smile so they can see that you're an engaging person. And if it's awkward, you can do, your natural smirk or what have you, but you want to make sure that you look pleasant and engaging. And of course, make eye contact. And when Myaann showed you how to make eye contact, watching that green, that's going to show that you are making eye contact and not looking down at yourself in the actual screen because you're not talking to you, you're talking to them. Keep your hands folded when not in use, not all of the, flinging around. And if you're using a green screen, one of the things you'll find if you move around too much, you will disappear in the background. So make sure that you are using the proper hand gestures when you are actually interviewing. And Maya's already said, sit up straight and, of course, be engaged. Sometimes we can get lost in our minds and then we forget what we're supposed to do. So stay engaged. And I believe when you're smiling and you're doing these lean ins or what have you, your body gestures will help you stay engaged. Now, let's talk about an opening statement. And I talk about this all the time. I want you to have them at hello. And a lot of times, the opening statement is the same as people saying, well, tell me about yourself. And what's so imperative about an opening statement? It actually sets the tone for the interview. If you are able to give a high level overview of who you are as a professional, then you answer a lot of the questions that they were going to ask you. And then it shows that you know what you bring to the table. And your opening statement should leave in their minds who you are if they don't ask you another question. And after you give them all of the high level competencies, your skill sets, what you bring to the table, you always want to end with something personal. And when I say personal, I mean something lighthearted personal. Like I told you all in the beginning, I love scrapbooking and guacamole and chips. And you saw how I gushed over my I'm the mama of my chapeau. I can talk about that, and everybody can identify with animals, and everybody can identify with some kind of hobby. If you are a soccer mom or dad or football coach or what have you, do something that you know others will be able to identify with. Or even maybe you go to a certain school and you found out the person goes to a rival school. And so that's something that you can, go back and forth and banter with. And again, bringing them into your world, relaxing yourself as well as relaxing them. Because when you just drop off the opening statement with all these key points about you and you don't say anything else, how do you make that transition? When you're leaving them something personal, that transition is gonna be so powerful and engaging that they're like, oh, this is a pretty cool person. Case in point, I had a client who I asked her, so what's interesting? Give me something. She said, well, I really don't have anything interesting. I said, well, come on now, tell me. There's something that people say about you. And she said, well, yeah, people say I make a mean pound cake. I said, well, you need to say that. And then she started cracking up. And then she couldn't believe that people start talking about baking. And so therefore that's an entryway because people have common interests or even know someone. So therefore always in with something personal. So here is a sample opening statement, and you all are going to get these slides so you can use this and tweak it to whatever you want. Now look at this. Well, IROC client, tell me a little bit about you. You will say, I'd be happy to. But before that, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for selecting me to meet with you all about this opportunity. It's my goal to make sure you all are glad you did. I was so excited to get this call. Well, I pride myself in putting 110% into every job and or task I take on. I take a challenge, and more importantly, I like finding ways to overcome challenges. I do this by not only drawing out on my past experiences, I also do this by using my resources, people, paper, and or company database. I'd like to say that I have a great work ethic and understand the value of not only being at work, but also being engaged in my work. I've had many opportunities to fill in for my manager because of it. But last but not certainly least, I'm great at relationship building, which translates into my being a great team player. I enjoy collaborating with others as we focus on achieving a goal or goals. I value others' strengths and capabilities and bring my own strengths and capabilities of research, accuracy, time management, and organizational skills to the table. I am an accounts payable whiz, have great learning agility, and I am flexible. On a personal note, and then that's when you'll fill something in. And this is actually my pound cake lady example. I wrote this for her. Again, thanks for meeting with me today. Now, this sample you can go and tweak, but do you see how I use a lot of the words there? And what would be nice is to make sure that your opening statement is in alignment with what they're asking. If they're looking for someone who's great at building relationships and a team player who can collaborate and who can research, be accurate, time management, and organize, why not talk about those that you bring to the table? So find those commonalities within the job description that you can talk about in your opening statement. And as well, your resume should already be in alignment with that anyway. So her whole career branding package not only comes from the career documents, i.e., resume, cover letter, as well as LinkedIn, but also when she gets in front of them to actually articulate that. So when she says all of this, she is setting the stage. And that's what I want you to do as well. Set the stage and thank them for having you. Here are some types of interview questions I want you to think about. There's the traditional types of questions. Sometimes they intertwine these with it. Close-ended, yes or no. Focus on your strengths. And then typical questions like describe your workday. Just traditional questions, right? Then there's some competency-based questions and based on, well, how are you with your organizational skills, your critical thinking, your ability to analyze. Some of these questions can come into place. How are you adaptable, coaching, relationship building, decision making, and problem solving? What about major challenges that you've had or how you handled those? Because I want to see your thought process and how you're going to overcome these. And then these typical competency-based questions sometimes start with, tell me about a time. And they're also sometimes called behavioral or situational questions. And they want you to, they'll present a situation to you and then ask you, what actions have you taken to respond to something similar in the past? And then they want to know the result of what happened. Don't just tell them a story and say what you did. I want to know what the result was. And so we'll talk about that as well. So, how do you answer the questions? So, first of all, I want you to make sure that you are listening to the questions and ensure that you understand it. It's okay to ask them to repeat, especially if it's a 2 to 3 part question. Now, we've had those before. One question with a second question, a third question. You're trying to remember. I'm still on the first question, trying to understand that one. It's okay to ask them to repeat it because it's better to ask from a place of clarification and not, what did you say? So you want to say from a perspective of clarification, and it's okay to do that. Asking from a perspective of what did you say shows that you're not listening. But if you want to clarify, you ask from a clarification perspective instead. Here are some typical interview methods. So the typical methods are your STAR method, your SAR method, and your PAR method. Now, the STAR is your situation or your story, your task, your actions, and then the results. The SAR method is similar, where it's talking about your situation, and sometimes your tasks and actions can overlap. And then you talk about your actions and then your result. And then your P is the same, it's similar, but it's about your problem. What problem did you have? And what actions did you take to do the R, which is to resolve them and get a result? So those are typical methods that you'll hear all the time. The STAR and the SAR are the most popular, with the PAR being the coming up behind it as a third. I have created the iRockStar method, and this is a better way of answering the interview questions. And I'm so sure about this that I even wrote a book about it. It's called You're Hired, 10 Tips to Rock Out Your Interview and Land Your Dream Job. And many of the things that I talk about in this masterclass and more are in this book. But the thing that I want to highlight during this masterclass is, how do you use the iRockStar method? Now, the iRockStar method begins with the result, then it talks about your story and situation, then it talks about your task and your actions, and then your result. Now, let me tell you the reason I came up with this method, or how I came up with this method. After many years of interviewing people and being the hiring of these people, I would find that people get so caught up and lost in their situations and stories, and even the mundane task of their situation, that they forget to tell us what happened. You never want in an actual interview and what happened after that. You never want to get that. So you always want to be prepared to make sure that you're answering with the result. So what I have taught my clients is to begin with the result first. So, and I'm going to show you some examples on how to do that. You begin with the result, then you back it up with your story and situation. You talk about the task and or actions that you've done, and then you state the result again in a different way. Or if there's sometimes more than one result, you can use an additional result. And the reason I teach it this way is because the interviewers are writing down your answers. If they can write down your result first, they can forget everything else that you've said. But the fact that you've answered their question with the result, you will win out over the competition hands down. And guess what? It's easy for you to remember the details of the situational story if you state the result first. Say, for example, an actual game. Yeah, you're going to talk about, yeah, they lost. Yeah, they won. And then what happens? Then you tell them how they won or how they lost. But you've stated the fact, the result, right? So the same that you should implement that in your strategy of answering the interview questions. If you are able to lead a result, it'll make it so easy to talk about the story. But I've seen it so many times that people start off with the situation and the story, and they get caught all up in the story. Well, I went to go and fact something that didn't. Oh, I don't care about that. That's not the what I need to know. What I need to know is a general synopsis or scenario. I need to know the basic tasks and actions that actually got the result, not the fact that you picked up the phone or faxed something. That's just part of the typical things that people do anyway. But what did you actually do to yield the result? Now, that's enough talking about the actual method, but I really want you to see how it is. But now we're going to show how it's actually played out. Here's an actual typical question. Can you describe a time when you had to help an underperforming employee or peer improve their performance? Here's the before. Number one, that's hard to read. That's a whole lot of information to read, okay? And it says, okay, so this is how most people write out their answers to interview prep questions when they're preparing themselves. They write it out just like this. And it's difficult to study because you have a big block of text, right? So with this, it's kind of hard. So therefore, here is all of the information. And I'm laughing because I'm waiting for someone to say something. But it's a whole lot of information here. But this is what I got from one of my clients. And I said, well, good. I always give the exercise. Write out the questions and give them to me within 4. Yes, it does. I did this on purpose, right? So Latanya says, um, she said, that looks familiar. Latanya, yes, it did. I did that on purpose. I saw you register. I said, "Oh, I'm gonna use her." So this is what she sent me, and I said, No, so therefore, she sent it to me, and I took her answers and I adjusted it. And I'm gonna give you an example of this. And again, you don't have to read all of this now. You will be getting these slides, so you can actually look at it. Okay, but here's the after. So after I said, with my training abilities, I was able to help a new adjuster increase her productivity so that within 2 weeks, she was able to meet the departmental weekly closing goal. That the question was, let's go back to the question. Can you describe a time when you helped an underperforming employee or peer improve their performance? She answered the question right off the bat. Yep. And she put in a plug about her training. So I said, girl, you got to talk about this. With my training abilities, so she's answering the question. I was able to help a new adjuster increase her productivity so that within 2 weeks, she gave a timeline. She was able to meet the department weekly closing goal. Then she said, yep, and here's the situation. I was given the opportunity to train a new to role claim adjuster who was very detail oriented. Her focus on smaller details was making her less efficient. So here's the task that she did. So task/actions. So I suggested she adjust inspection hours to allow time for administrative work in the mornings and afternoons. I advised she use her first contact with the policyholder to gather the most details prior to inspection. And while in the field, I suggested the adjuster use technology such as Claim Access, ITEL Now, and mobile prints to settle the claim immediately after inspection. I showed her how to use time management and technology to maximize her strengths and increase production to meet our weekly goal for closed claims. I co-adjusted with the adjuster to be sure the technology was used accurately. And she responded well. She responded well to the training I provided. And again, she stated the result again. And her productivity increased within 2 weeks. And within 2 weeks, she began meeting the weekly closing goal. So what she did was capped it. She talked about meeting the weekly closing goal. Then she talked about it again. So making it a sandwich in this manner will allow her to remember when she gets a question that's similar to this. How am I going to talk about my own experience that I know I've done, and how can I bring it? So when she does this, she stated it, then she was able to tell the story and then restate it again. That's the magic of the iRockstar method. Girl, I see there. Here's proof in the pudding. So she said, I used this method and landed the leadership development opportunity when she interviewed. See, it works. And I'm telling you, you remember the stuff. But I was so glad that you were going to be on the call because I was like, I'm going to use her example. Thank you for that vote. Yay. Yes. Okay, let's look at another example. Question. Now, here's a, oh, you're so sweet. I love you too. Okay, here's another one. Question. Describe a time when you had to deal with a major change in your work environment, work process, and/or job duties. How did you respond and prepare for the change? Now, you see how that's kind of a two-parter, right? So that's a lot. And so it's okay to say, well, can you say that one more time? I want to make sure that I heard you correctly. Describe a time when you had to deal with a major change in your work environment, work process, and/or job duties. How did you respond and prepare for the change? And this was the answer. Okay, a lot of stuff in here. A lot of stuff. And then he just started, I think back to the transition period 2 years ago was a unique challenge because it involves learning, all this stuff. I'm like, this is great. But it's like, okay, so let's rearrange all of this and put it into the iRockstar method. So this is how I set it up for him. This is the after. Result. I went through a migration to a new system 2 years ago that enhanced the way we did our work in the digital space. Bam! I just answered your question, right? Now, here's the story or situation. There was a transition period with my former employer that was a unique challenge because it involved learning a new system on short notice while still balancing our work with clients. In hindsight, I found the transition to be refreshing as the migration provided my team and I with additional resources and options that weren't available prior to the integration. As a go to specialist, my responsibilities evolved, allowing my leadership skills to flourish further within a re energized work environment. Additionally, my promotion to a lead position came with the opportunity to collaborate on special projects for Gannett and coaching the existing staff in transitioning from print to digital. The task. First, I thought about how I could best help the team understand the new procedures and accompany techniques to identify issues connected to the new process. Actions. I prioritize creating robust facts, frequently asked questions for the department, uploading the documents to SharePoint, and placing additional pressure on myself to spearhead group and one-on-one training sessions post-launch. I overhauled my schedule and organizational tools to make sure I was still able to meet expectations. As an active participant in team meetings and trainings, I prioritize providing ongoing feedback to management and discussing solutions to improve the experiences for our end users. The result. Not only did I maintain a positive team chemistry and raise performance within others in the midst of a tough transition for the agency, I was consistently exploiting unique opportunities to showcase my commitment towards new assignments, which led to my promotion to team lead. Now, this gentleman was looking to promote into a management position, and we had to position him to answer his questions on how he's able to train, lead, take on additional assignments, as well as show that he already got the first step of being promoted to the lead. Now I'm ready for more additional opportunity. And I helped them meet and do the work in a digital space. So he used all of his skills in that one answer to tell them everything that he did and also giving key words that's in alignment with what he wants, the job description and the resume that we created for him. So he is now well packaged for this. Okay, let's do another one. Question. Tell me about a time when you had to change your point of view or your plans to take into account new information or changing priorities. Here's a before. A lot of information here. A lot of information. So I'm going to go to the next one and I'm going to show you how I reorganized it. Now, okay, the result. So I took an original 18-month project and completed it in 6 months due to a major change in our priorities. The situation, an original timeline of 18 months for efforts that were handling remediation of sensitive data from freeform to text fields was changed to needing completion in a 6-month time frame to meet an external GLBA audit. Task. First instinct was to have a mindset of, oh my gosh, this cannot be done. She had to change her mindset. Actions. Then I realized, wait, maybe we need to adjust our perception of what can and cannot be done and quickly relook at the project requirements, dependencies, and risks and see where we could get the most critical done that the auditors were looking for. Result. The outcome for the projects did finish in 6 months and the company did meet and successfully pass the GLBA audit. We were able to make sure the current data being handled each day as it happened. Then the fact that the company was still working on scrubbing all the old legacy data was considered a risk that was being handled and the services and code build. It just needed time over 6 months to a year to run all the volume, run the volume all through. You see that? So different. Instead of just giving a whole bunch of, yeah, this and a big old story. And it's easy for someone to write it out this way and then remember. That's the magic of the R-Star method. She talked about her result and she talked about it again. And then how she had to think through the process of how to get it done. with something like that from 18 months to 6. So you're changing, shaving off 2/3 of the time. And then I teach inflection. When you say these things, I always tell my clients, act it out, because when you're acting it out, you almost are like in acting school, laughing at Myaann. Myaann, I teach my clients how to act because you're acting it out. Again, engagement, bringing them into your world as you tell the story. And of course, being the hero or the shero and showing how you resolved it. So now those were some great examples that you all will have, and you can figure out, which examples would be good for you. And one of the things I like to tell you all is that think of developing an answer bank to all or example bank of all the different things that you have experienced that can meet different competencies. And when you think that through, just dump them out of your head and then just start formulating them to make sure that they fit into the R star method. And when you're able to answer each one of those or put a response to each one of those, the R, the S, T, A, or T, or A, I should say, and then the R, then you know you have a winning example that you can actually utilize in any type of actual interview. And that's what I want you to make sure that you're understanding, that you can answer those interview questions without having to always remember what you have to say. Okay. So, when you're closing out the interview, you want to always wrap up by thanking them for meeting with you to discuss the opportunity, because it is a privilege to get to that level, to that point of actually doing the interview. You want to make sure that they understand that you're grateful for that. Then you want to give a brief recap of why you are the best candidate. And this is one of the things I'm talking about, that you're asking for the job without asking for the job. By giving them a recap of why you're the best candidate, you can ask them for the job without asking for the job. And then you thank them again for their time. And of course, we're going to talk about making sure that you check my mic. There's feedback. Oh, maybe I'm too close. Is that better? Okay, there's feedback on her end. Okay. Can you all hear me? I think I start leaning. Look, I'm leaning in because I'm getting all into my presentation. Okay, awesome. Awesome. Okay, great, great. We want to make sure that you're closing it out properly so that they know that you are appreciative of their time, and getting a chance to share your experiences and your results and what you bring to the table, and basically letting them know that you're basically the best candidate because they need to choose you, right? That's what we want. So I'm going to show you how to close out the actual interview. So here's a potential way to do that. So you could say, okay, they're saying, "Right, client, do you have any questions for us?" Now, I've always said, if you have legitimate questions to ask, then ask them. But if you don't, then you don't have to ask them. But I have prepared a couple of questions that you can ask that would be great to ask. My thing is that please do not ask questions that you can research on your own. Those general questions where you can find out about the mission, the vision, even the products that sell. I've heard of a funny story. This didn't happen to me, but I heard of a peer having a client to go into an interview and didn't even know what the job actually sold or the company sold. So they asked her, "So what do you actually do here?" It's like, that's never a question you want to ask in an actual interview. So I want to make sure I clear that up. I would say yes, no, depending on if you would do it or not. So, one of the things you could say, "I would like to thank you again for your time and for the opportunity to discuss my skills, knowledge, and my abilities. I would like to say that I can see myself as a great fit for your company, and that your company culture lines up with my values of integrity, teamwork, and philanthropy. This opportunity is meant for me. I can assure you that I'm prepared and ready for the task at hand, and can hit the ground running after learning your processes. My skills in accounts payable and the intricacies that go along with it, in addition to relationship building and being a great team player, would line up with this position. I will love the opportunity to work with you and this company. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you." You see how you ask for the job without asking for the job? Because you're telling them that this is an opportunity that is meant for you. You can see yourself because you feel that you are a great fit, because it lines up with your own personal values. And so when you're doing that, you are absolutely awesome by doing that. So if can do that for yourself, oh my gosh, you are all set. Let's see. So here's some potential questions that you can definitely ask. Why is the position available? Yeah, you can ask that question. What are the current what are the current goals that the company is focused on? And how does this team work to support hitting those goals? That's a great question to ask. Great question, because now you're basically putting yourself in their shoes. Well, what are your current goals? How does this team work to do it? And then you can have and I'm telling you, this whole acting, you can act like when they're answering, you can like be really thinking through, yeah, I can see myself doing that. Then you could say, well, can you tell me about the team I'll be working with? Planting the seed. So therefore, you can say that. Can you tell me about the team that I'll be working with? But if you don't feel comfortable saying it straight out like that, could potentially be working with, again, you're asking about that, and that's okay. And then how would you describe the work environment here? Is work typically collaborative or more independent? No, you're kind of asking, is this a sour environment or what? But you kind of want to ask. And especially if you haven't had an opportunity to do a virtual coffee and ask that question, you can position this question so that it's not offensive, but it's generally curiosity. And again, it's about how do you ask it? Are you not for clarity, but in this point, you're really curious and you can answer from a curious, how is it? Is it typically collaborative? Because we've already talked about that you're a great collaborator throughout your whole interview. Then why wouldn't you ask if it's a collaborative environment? Because again, you will hope that they say, yes, it is. And that's in alignment with making you the best choice for that opportunity. All right, let's go here. And of course, make sure after the interview, that you send a thank you email and or a thank you letter or note. So if you're in the market of interviewing a lot, please go and grab you some interview notes or what have you, and make sure that you drop a note in the mail. Yes, it's okay to email, but you know what? People are so happy to get pieces of mail. So if you can actually send them an actual thank you note in your own handwriting, it will still separate you from the group. And inside of that email and or thank you letter, you can again reemphasize 2 to 3 key points that you want to make sure that they remember you with. You can say something like, again, I look forward to working with you to utilize my analytical skills, my critical thinking, and my project management skills to push your projects to reach goals. I'm really excited about the opportunity. Something to that effect that makes it personable, and also showcasing again that you have the skills to get into that job. You want to make sure that the thank you, it keeps you top of mind, because it's okay to say that. And as I'm thinking about this, a lot of times we are also thinking about, okay, how soon should I follow up after interview? I would normally say pre this pandemic that's going on. I would say, you can follow up if they haven't told you that they would make a decision within a week or two. You want to gauge your time. If you mail out a letter, give it 3 to 5 days to get to their desk or what have you, and have them read it, maybe 7 days. And you want to do that. Now, that may have been extended a little bit because of what's going on in our society. So it's not to panic because you haven't heard back immediately, and because I'm sure they're going through, but you want to make sure that you are top of mind and make sure that you follow up within reason. And I can't gauge because it's the first time we're going through this. So I can't gauge and give you an exact time, but go with your gut. But you don't want to appear to hound and call every day or email every day looking for an answer. So do what feels right. Let's see. And here are some interview tips recap. Make sure that you are researching the company and the job that you are applying for. It's nothing worse, like I said, going into a company that you haven't done your due diligence, only to find yourself back in the marketplace looking for another opportunity. There's a lot of time and energy that is put into landing a job, but we want to be cautious and land a dream job, because you're not quick to leave a dream job, but you have to do your due diligence and invest in yourself and packaging yourself so you can get it done right and get it done right the first time. No one wants to redo and rework and have to go back to the drawing board every time they're told no. So do it right the first time. Be on time. Definitely be on time. And of course, be presentable and use your manners. And when I talk about being presentable, just to Mayan's point as well, having your outfit look appropriate, even when you're doing it on video. One of the things that I did not give a young lady a job to that was internal at the company, because she came to the interview with a tongue ring. And no, I don't have anything with no problems with the tongue ring, but it appears that she had just gotten it done because she couldn't hardly talk. And every time I'm looking at her and I'm trying to understand that she had a kind of a slur because of that. And I'm seeing this tongue ring bobbing up and down in her mouth. So it was like, okay, now why would you do this? And of course, I had to give feedback to the manager, because, she was so prepared. She had this, and well, why didn't she get the job? I said, well, she came with a tongue ring, and we couldn't understand her. And we had to keep asking her. And the manager said, oh, I forgot to tell her to take that out. I just paused and I just sat there and I said, oh my gosh, no. We as leaders have to coach to make sure that we're setting up our direct reports for the best possible scenario. And I was just floored that she forgot to tell her to take it out. Okay, and I digress. Now, instead of, I meant to put the R star, use the R star method, not the star method. So I'll update that slide to make sure it says R star method. I want you to use my method because I know it works. And of course, thank them in person and sent by email or letter. And of course, don't let them see you sweat, because again, you got this. You have the skills, you have the capabilities, you have the knowledge. You are there for a reason. So it's showtime. Let them see that you are actually meant for that role. Now it's time for any questions. And if there's something that I did not cover, please ask, and we can go ahead and answer those questions for you. So, any questions out there? Any clarification on anything that you need to know? And go ahead and type them in. Do you have questions for myself or even Myaann? Any questions? All right. Let me just bring okay, yes. Okay, great. Is it customary for companies to let you know you didn't get the job after a series of interviews? They should. And if they have not done that and kind of left you hanging, then that's not a good look on them. So then and you have to ask yourself, if they haven't even taken the time to answer me, what else would they do if I got that role? So you're looking at that's part of their culture. Should they have gotten back to you? Yes, most professional companies do that. And ones who are concerned about bringing in high level talent, they will do that. If they have not done that after a series of interviews and have taken all that time, then to me, that's disrespectful of you as a professional. And then you have to think, well, maybe, they're not as professional as I thought. And so it's okay to say, you can tell them no. And that's another question I get a lot of times. Is it okay for me to turn down a job after I've gotten it? Yes. And so some people have walked into an actual interview and felt right away that it wasn't the right fit. And it's okay. I actually literally talked to a potential client today that she basically did the same thing. She was sitting across from two women who were so stressed out in their job that she said, oh my gosh, I'm trying to leave a toxic and stressful environment. I don't want that job. And they asked her to send some things, part of the interview. She said, sure, I've done that already. I'll send you examples. She sent it to them and they didn't even respond. And she said, nope, I didn't want that job anyway because of the way that they treated and acted. So you can do that and actually turn down a job. Okay, in a panel interview, Do you still recommend looking into the camera directly? Oh, yes, because at that point, you can't look around the room and unless for some, no, because you're not going to need to look at each individual person. But what's going to happen in a panel interview on video, each when a person is speaking, their face will pop up. So you are still going to look at that green dot and look at them. So you will look directly at that green dot because there's no way for you to know everybody in the room, but their face will pop up. Okay, yes, you make sure that you're doing, yeah, try and make, well, no, don't make eye contact with each person on the video because no, you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you're still looking in the actual camera and when their face on, if well, most Zoom or any video, when it's time for them to talk, their face should show and still look directly in the camera because they're looking at you and they're seeing you, but you don't want to look down because if you're looking down, you're still going to be appearing to not look in the camera. Keep your gaze focused on the camera. Okay, you're welcome, Jose, especially for a type of response like that. For a high level position, no, you don't want to do that. Oh yes, a bank of answers. So when you think about a lot of your high level examples, you want to say, okay, what things am I most proud of that I can talk through from the beginning and to the end? What kind of results have I gotten? It could be a monetary result, meaning qualitative, or I mean quantitative or qualitative. What have I done to yield a result? And what were the steps I took to accomplish that? And again, when using the R star method, you can say something like that to a response to a question. Oh, I was able to increase production by 30% by X, Y, and Z. Here's what happened. We were having a whole lot of issues and problems with meeting our production goals because of things were failing. And then you can go into a whole story. I'm just making something up. And then you talk about what did you do to research, how you got people on board. And then at the end result, not only did we, improve production, but also save the company money. So you want to think about those. So think about any kind of results that you have that you're proud of, and that talks and lends to the competencies that you're strongest in. Don't focus on competencies that you're weak in, especially as you go up the ladder. I had a conversation, and I was hoping that she was going to be on the thing tonight. She said she had a problem with her link, but we talked today. And one of the things was like, you know what? She said, yeah, I'm not good at technology. You can't ask me to do a PowerPoint. I said, whoa, 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 whoa. You're at a level you have somebody else doing your PowerPoint. You don't do your own PowerPoint. So, okay, good point. Didn't think about that. I was like, yeah, you don't do PowerPoints anymore, not at your level. No, she reports directly to the CEO. No, you have people to do PowerPoints for you. So therefore, think about those things that are high level that will help that company move the bottom line by using examples that you helped move that bottom line. Okay, Casey, what are some steps we could take after the interview if we feel that we didn't perform well during the interview? Once you get out of that interview, go immediately and do a brain dump of everything that you have said. So you want to try to think of, okay, what did I say? How did I frame that? How can I go back and say that again? Not saying that at this interview or what have you, but how can I use that example and say it better? Let's take comedians. Comedians a lot of times will go and try out their whole bits and jokes on small clubs before they go to the big stage. And what they do is they take a pen and paper and write down what worked, what pieces didn't work, and also how they can tweak it. You want to do the same thing. So if you feel that you didn't perform well, a lot of times we're going to beat ourselves up, Casey. And the good thing is that we end up doing better than we thought. But I always talk about the more prepared you are, the better you are. And what I'm going to do right now on my at 6:45, I have my live that I do on LinkedIn. Well, it's not just on LinkedIn; it's on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. I do a live, and today's topic is all about the 5 P's of interviewing. It's all about being prepared. And the more prepared you are and know your examples that you can use and tweak to any question that's given to you, i.e., again, back to the example bank, you will be prepared. But don't beat yourself up. it's okay. And if it's meant for you, then it will be yours. But if you are stumbling over the actual interview, then some preparation will be needed before you go back at it again. Because if your resume is landed in the interview, but you can't get beyond the interview, it's not the resume, it's something that you're not overcoming in the actual interview. And it's not that you don't have the skill set, it's just about technique. Because a lot of people think, well, they didn't want me. It's not about you. Sometimes it's also a cultural fit. Say, for example, I have a team of five and I need a sixth person. Now, I have two people are strong in analytical analysis. I have a person who's a rah rah person who keeps the team going. I have a project manager person. Then I have somebody who's really sharp at organization. But then we don't have very good presenters to present it to executive. So I'm looking for somebody to help me with my team. Now, if I have already two people who are very analytical, I may not need a third person that's analytical, although I need them to understand the analysis part. I may need a person who actually knows how to present the information, not only do the work, but present it. So a lot of times there's hidden things behind the job postings that are unsaid that an actual leader is looking for to round out that team. So it's not always that you don't have the skill set. It's about that they already have maybe more than you on that team and they're looking for a different skill set that's kind of like unspoken. But if you think about it, these job descriptions are not necessarily written by the hiring managers. They're written by just HR people, just writing up there, and they don't really know what the actual leader is looking for, but their job is to recruit people who fit the job description. But there's other underlying things that had nothing to do with you. And I've done this whole month, I've done series on interview prep. You can go back and look at some of those videos, and I've talked about those different aspects. It's not about you, it's about the culture and the fit. Are you the proper fit for that environment and that team at that time? So don't beat yourself up, Casey. You got this. What else? Any other questions? You all have anything from Myaann? All right. I hope this was helpful for you as well because the R star method is a different way of thinking. It's a different way of changing your mindset. And I am really happy about it. I've even submitted it to see if I can win a little award for it as well. But I believe in the method. I've seen it work. And not only for my clients, I also have seen it work in the corporate setting. Before I even was able to give it a name, I would coach my direct reports on what to do and how to do it and what have you. And I was like, you know what? This really works. I said, it's just a change of mindset, just flipping it. It's almost the sandwich method. If you have the result on the top and the result on the bottom, all the middle stuff is the good stuff that help it work, help bring it together. So that's what you need to remember. But again, interviewing is not something to be intimidated by or scared of. It's about how do you prepare to bring your best self. And this is a tip I just remember that did not want to forget. I mentioned it earlier. When you are interviewing, and even going back to you, Casey, you still go out and do your best interview, even if you're not the right fit. You may end up with an opportunity still with the company in another type of role or at a later time. So it's always best to go and put your best foot forward and interview like a champ and then in hopes of course, landing the job. But if you don't fret because there may be an opportunity that they're keeping your resume on file for a future opportunity. I used example in my live a couple of weeks ago about how a client went in for a lower level position just to get their foot in the door. And they were shocked that they did not get the job. Like, what? I'm going in for something lower than what I was before. But she did so well in the interview. They called her back and say, no, we see you as a manager. We want you in a manager role. And she was so excited because she didn't think that she would be able to walk into this company in a management role. She was of the mindset that she had to prove herself in order to get there. So they called her back when they had a management role open, interviewed her, and not only has she gotten that management role, she is now promoted 2 levels higher ever since then. So you never know. And it's all about timing and not necessarily that you did not get the role. And that's the confidence that I build into my clients. Don't get beat up or think that you just didn't get it. Again, it's so many things that are on the behind the scenes that have nothing to do with you or your skill set. The job, your resume got you in the door, your the job description, is there. They're not going to tell you, I need somebody who can bring the team together. I need an employee engagement type of person without having the title. They're not going to tell you all those things. That's something that they know individually, and they're going to be looking for that within the person that they're actually interviewing. And those are some of the things that people won't tell you. People won't tell you that on the YouTube channel. They won't tell you them because a lot of times they don't know those intricacies unless they have been on the hiring side and kind of have some insight into that. And then do they know how to articulate it very well? So I want to make sure that you understand those underlying things that we don't think about when we're going to interview. Okay, those were great questions. And of course, I have books out there. If you want to go to my website, irockresumes.com, you can purchase either the ebook version, which, I'm an ebook girl, or you can do the paper version of the actual book and I'll autograph it and send it to you. It's one on resume tips as well as the interview tips. And the interview tips goes into even further, give you more examples on how to build your bank of examples. And of course, if you have not connected with me, I would love for you to connect with me on YouTube and on LinkedIn. You can find me under Nicolette Barrett. I run a weekly live that's called the Job Search and Career Management Made Easy show every Thursday at 6:45 p.m. You can catch me live, or you can catch the rebroadcast and just let me know that you were there. Follow me on the iRock Resumes Facebook business page. And I'm at iRock Resumes on Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter. And again, if you're not already on my mailing list, which I believe all of you all are, but if those are people who are watching the replay who weren't able to make it, please make sure that you get on my email list as well so you can get privy information. And I would love to say that this whole thing was also sponsored by the iRock Inner Circle, which is a monthly group coaching platform that everybody's on my email list will be getting information about. That's a low cost of $25 where I present an actual lesson to you all. And you all get to ask me directly questions that you want answers for. And so it's a great value. It's an opportunity for me to continuously help you grow in your career and answer your questions. I don't care if it's about a bad boss, challenging boss, a project thing. I don't care what it is. I've been in leadership for 19 plus years in corporate America, with this organization 26 years, almost 30 years. So I have a lot of experience and I can help you with that. But I'm going to bring Myaann back on as well. So let me put this down and I'm going to put your camera on, Miss Myaann, and then I'm going to bring you back on. And let me get this out of the way. All right, get out. Let me see. Let me go back here. I want us. Why is it not doing this? I want to get out of here. Okay. Come on. All right.
Let me do it right.
Okay. So there's Myaann. Do you all have any questions for Myaann while I have her here? Myaann, you did awesome. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I think this was very helpful. And again, we're going to have this. Not only we have people that are going to watch the replay, and everyone that's on here as well, you will get a follow-up email with the replay, and you're going to have access to the slides. And if I put a link in for the slide, but they were saying that mine is too big, so I may have to do mine separately. But you will have access to Myaann's, okay? So, and then you'll also get an opportunity to watch this whole thing again if you want to watch it as well. And I think it's going to be up for another 5 days, and then it'll be taken down. But then it will be available to you all if you ever need it for just by a link, and I can give you access to it. But it will be something that I share with other clients as well. All right. Let's see. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. I lost you, Maya. Where you at?
Oh, I'm here.
Oh, okay. I was like, what happened? Okay, so now I'm gonna put me back on there. So I hope again this was helpful for you, and I hope and I wish you nothing but the best in your efforts in your interviewing. And if there's something that you need even further than this and one-on-one coaching, you know I do offer interview prep coaching, and you can go to my website for that, irockresumes.com, and I can tailor yours directly to you to make sure that you're answering the questions and also doing the exercise of getting all your examples out. And I can help you to that end, because the goal again is to land your dream job and also to make sure that you are prepared so that you can, if you, even if you don't get that opportunity, that you're well positioned for a potential opportunity still within that company. So thank you so much for spending this evening with me. And if you all do want to join me on the live, I'm just talking about the 5 P's, the general being prepared. So if you want to come out and listen to that, and I always give the general information, and these webinars gives me an opportunity to give you the how. I'll give you the what and the why in an actual live, but the webinars, when you invest in yourself, I give you the how. So come on and join me at the live in a few minutes. I'm gonna get me a drink of water and I'm gonna do that. Thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing you all on the next live webinar. Bye. Say bye, Myaann.
Bye. See
Okay.
you soon.
Okay. Bye, everyone.